These are the best free plugins that you need for 2025. Let's dive straight into it. We're starting off with Zyklop by Dawson. Now this is a crazy synth that's marketed as the fun, free-spirited younger sister of their flagship synth Myth, which is a really cool machine learning powered modern synthesizer which comes with some crazy processing that you can do. You can actually check that one out for free with a 90-day trial, which I think is pretty dope. But in this video, we're just going to look at Zyklop. It uses the same resynthesis engine as Myth, has some amazing presets, and has a really user-friendly way of doing sound design to get some really cool results. So we can see here the presets on the right, starting off with the Zyklop. And just to quickly run through a few of them. You've got this really interesting interface up here, which is where the resynthesis happens. So let's record in a quick pattern just to get something going. So the cool thing about this synth is that you can drag in your own samples and manipulate it in some crazy ways with the resynthesis engine. So let's just find something to drag in, like a one shot. And in fact, I'll drag in a one shot for my own Genesis kit. I'll put the link in the description. Check out this kit. It's really good for trying to generate new sounds, new ideas, new samples. So we've got this electric guitar, this picked electric guitar, which is just a typical electric guitar sound. We drag it in, you see it's going to resynthesize. And now within the synth, we can do some cool things with it. So you can see at the bottom, they've just got these little tips that are telling you what each control is doing. So you can just make sure that you're on the right track. So yeah, you can see you can do some really interesting things with the sounds. For now, let's just switch this to a preset that's a little bit more neutral. Next up, we've got Octo Wah-Stu by Raccoon Audio. Now, if you're a guitarist, you'll know all about wah-wah pedals, which can give you some of the coolest sounds in music. And this plugin is once again great for manipulating sounds, adding in some wah-wah and messing with the octave. So let's give this a try out on an organ one shot. This is how it sounds clean. And now if we turn on the plugin, it's got a pretty fun interface. So you can hear it's already added that lower octave, some distortion as well. We'll add in the tilt. Almost like a cut off and more distortion. But then the wah. So that's at 0. So besides getting some really cool sounds and textures from this, the fun is in the automation, I find. So if you just have a clean sound and then just automate any of the parameters, you can get some really cool, interesting things going on. So yeah, definitely a fun one to play with. I highly recommend checking it out and just trying it in all sorts of different sounds. Next free plugin is Flora Lite. Now, over the last few years, there's been a takeover of plugins that deal with resonance and doing things dynamically and intelligently, allowing for super precision when it comes to things like sidechaining and creating space in the mix for different sounds. Now, the main plugins that people tend to use for this, I find, are Soothe 2, which is a fantastic plugin. I use it all the time, and Track Spacer, another brilliant plugin that's relatively cheap. But if you need a free plugin that does a stunning job by itself, then Flora Lite is definitely worth checking out. Now the interface is of course very similar to Track Spacer. We've got Track Spacer here on the left, Flora Lite on the right, and it's based upon the input signal that you put into it. So in this case, in Flora Lite, if we put in the first Zyklop sound, so you can see the input is the first Zyklop layer, which is playing essentially the same notes in the bass layer. And the higher we turn the amount, the more it's carving that out of the synthesizer. You can turn the delta so you can actually hear what's being taken out. So it's really good for sidechain in general, I find. Also carving out frequencies for vocals. Definitely check it out if you haven't got Track Spacer or Soothe 2. Now sometimes you want to add some audio effects without thinking too much about it, and I find that the Baby Audio free plugins are really dope for just that. You need to get pitch drift. So you can hear it's just drifting the pitch, and that's really good for just getting some weird textures and sounds as always. Next one is Magic Dice. Pretty much like it says, it's just rolling a dice. So every time you press it, you're going to get something completely different and wild. So just playing with the mix is always a good shout. You can either turn them down, make them subtle, or just automate it and get some really cool stuff going on. Then we've got Magic Switch, which is just an instant chorus effect. I've been using this for years. Finally, you come to Warp, which is the newest free plugin from them, which is actually a small section taken from the Transit 2 plugin, which is that great plugin that's good for transitions. It's a little bit pricey, but it's definitely worth checking out. This is just one module from that, and it's really, really good to play with. So again, these can be some crazy effects, but if you play over them and use them in the right areas, they can be game changers. And this especially works well for transition. So at the end of a bar, play around with this and you can get some cool stuff going on. Next up, we've got Analog Drums by Ableton. Now this is of course specific to Ableton, but it's a really good free way of getting good drum sounds immediately. You can see here on the interface, you've got all the drum sounds, kick, clap, snare, low perk, mid perk, etc. You can just literally cycle through all these different sounds. Trap drums, EDM drums, pretty much every genre, you can somehow get the right combination, and they've got these presets on the left as well you can just select. So I've just drawn in this basic drum pattern that's going to go with the rest of the beat we've made. And if we let it play, you can just hear change the kick. This is a really good free way to get instant drum sounds and just play around with them till you get the perfect combination. Now Ableton also does another free instrument rack, which is one of my favorites, and that's Infinite Keys. I find using this, again, it's got some really good presets and you can manipulate sounds really easily. Got electric piano. And then organs. So definitely another one you have to check out. It just sounds so good, and considering it's free, it's highly worth it if you've got Ableton. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you find these free plugins as useful as I did. If you want to see another free plugins video that has my all-time favorites, check out this video here. Otherwise, have a good one. Peace out.